The billionaire's voice rose through the luxurious dining hall like thunder cracking over glass. Every fork paused, every breath held, but what followed was not what anyone expected. A calm voice, steady and composed, answered him, and in that moment, silence devoured the room. It had been raining heavily that Tuesday evening when Veronica entered the golden-lit doors of Elysian Table, the city's most opulent restaurant. Meals here cost more than her monthly income. The clientele demanded excellence, not just in service, but in the illusion of perfection. Veronica, at only 24, had weathered countless storms behind the apron. But tonight would be different. Tonight she would face Carson Hale. He was no ordinary man. Carson Hale was the name that echoed across stock exchanges, media boardrooms, and executive suites. A billionaire mogul who built empires and dismantled careers with a single glance. His reputation was chilling. He was known to ridicule staff and demand submission. Veronica knew she would be the one attending his table, and she prepared herself like a soldier before battle. Things were smooth at the start. Orders were taken, wine poured. She had memorized his favorite, lemon wedges, seedless. He did not acknowledge her effort. He never did. And then it happened. When she placed the fillet in front of him, his demeanor shifted. "This is not medium rare," he growled, his voice echoing as he pounded the plate. Glasses trembled, conversations died, heads turned. The restaurant was no longer a place of quiet luxury. It became a courtroom. Veronica, without blinking, reached for the plate. "I am sorry, sir," she said evenly. But Carson was not interested in apologies. "Do you believe this is acceptable?" he shouted. "I spend more here than most people make in a month. I did not come here to be served like I walked into a corner booth diner." Eyes locked on her. Murmurs grew louder. Veronica felt her cheeks heat up, yet she did not cower. Instead, she lifted her chin and responded, not with defiance, but with truth. Her voice was calm, soft, but it carried like a bell. "I treat everyone with dignity, Mr. Hale, whether they order caviar or a sandwich. You are welcome to do the same." The restaurant fell into an unnatural stillness. Forks hung mid-air. Even the pianist faltered. Carson stared at her, momentarily robbed of speech. She gently lifted the plate, turned, and walked away. Not in defiance, in quiet power. Behind the kitchen doors, Veronica's hands trembled as she placed the dish on the counter. The chef looked at her, concerned. She gave him a small nod. She did not want comfort. She wanted peace. She had done her part. Back in the dining room, Carson sat silently. His entourage kept their heads down. The man who commanded rooms now found himself watching the door she disappeared into. He felt something he had not felt in years. Shame, a memory tugged at him. A cold night years ago. He was young then. A college dropout working late at a diner. He had dropped a tray on a man in an expensive suit. That man had stood up, furious, yelling at him in front of the entire place. Carson had burned with humiliation. He remembered how that fire had pushed him. He had vowed never to be powerless again. And yet, here he was, becoming the very person he once loathed. 15 minutes passed. Then Veronica returned with a new plate. She set it down gently. "Medium rare," she said softly. No anger, no sarcasm, just poise. Carson looked at her, unsure how to respond. "Thank you," he said, and he meant every word. The rest of the evening passed without another word from him. He ate slowly, eyes following her as she worked. She never looked back at him, but he saw the worn soles of her shoes, the frayed apron string, the bread she quietly passed to a young kitchen hand who looked too hungry. When he asked the manager about her, he learned more. She worked 2 jobs. She was studying nursing at night. She supported her younger brother. She never missed a shift. Carson said nothing. He left no tip. Instead, he left an envelope on the table. Inside was a cashier's check, not for $100, not for 1,000, 50,000. No note, just her name in sharp, clean handwriting. When Veronica found it, she thought it was a complaint. Her hands shook. Then she opened it. Time stopped. She blinked, looked again. The number did not change. She rushed to the manager. "Did he say anything?" she asked. The manager shook his head. "Only that the food was excellent." Veronica stood stunned. The man who had silenced the room was gone. No crowd, no announcement, just a gesture that left ripples she would feel forever. That night, in her small apartment, she sat next to overdue bills and her nursing textbook. The check lay between them. She called her brother. This time she cried not from struggle, but from release. Miles away in a penthouse far above the city, Carson sat alone. No screens, no calls, only silence. He thought of her words. He had spent his life silencing people with power. But she had spoken one sentence that echoed louder than applause. She did not argue. She simply told the truth, and it pierced deeper than all his wealth ever could. Months passed. One morning, the bell above a small diner door rang. Veronica turned, wiping her hands on her apron. She froze. It was him. Same suit, different man. He held no phone, no arrogance, just an envelope and a quiet smile. "I never thanked you," he said. She blinked. "For what? For reminding me that voices still matter." He handed her the envelope. Inside was not a check. It was a letter. "Dear Veronica, in a world where power often silences truth, you chose to speak, and I listened. That sentence changed me. I have started a foundation. It bears your name, the Veronica Grant Initiative, for women like you who give their all, even when the world gives nothing in return. I hope you will lead it." Her knees weaken. Veronica, once a quiet face in a crowded restaurant, now stood at the head of something larger than herself. Her name would no longer be whispered as just a server, but as a symbol. And whenever Carson Hale was asked why her, he would smile and say, because when the room went silent, she was the only one who dared to speak.